Hey, boys and girls, hello again. It's your old pal Mage, and you're here, you're stuck again at the Square the Circle Music channel. And, we're going to do tonight what we always do. We talk about record collecting and music appreciation. So, thanks again. Welcome back. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Go and check out my Instagram, Square the Circle Records on Instagram. See what I post there every now and again. It's fun to see you all. More importantly, anyone that's been following my channel, or maybe you're tuning in for the first time, check it out. I started a contest. And so I started it probably like 4 days ago, and I'm trying to get a bunch of subscribers. I want to try to get 500 subscribers by May 1st. So that's 2 months exactly to the day from today. Help me do it. I think I'm resting somewhere in the upper 100s now. And February was a great month. A lot of people were really welcoming to me and into the vinyl community. And it's been really fun chit-chatting with everybody. So thanks all y'all for welcoming me into the community again. And yeah, so more importantly, like I was going on about my contest, I wanted to get 500 subscribers. So what you need to do is you need to scroll down in the video section of my postings and look for the one that says contest. I want you to tell me your 4 records that you would take to the desert island with you, but you only get 4. I've seen lots of other people do these desert island pick lists. You know, it's obviously very common. I'm not that creative, but it gets a little bit more sticky when I'm telling you you only get 4. 4. So you got to kind of think really hard. You know, when I did mine and I showed you guys all mine, honestly, I kind of just it only took me 30 seconds. And I was just I knew what I needed to have. And I knew everything that I was going to pick was just going to be really substantial and have so much to offer. So it honestly wasn't that hard for me. But yeah, tastes change. You know, if you asked me this question again in a year, my list would be completely different. So it's all subjective, it's all in fun. But tell me your Desert Island 4. Put it in the comments below on said specific video. So it's that one video where I introduced my contest. Go to that video, put it in there, or just say, hey man, I subscribe. Put me, drop my name in the hat. And there will be a drawing for kind of a neat prize. So there's all that. Let's talk about music, shall we? So the list I wanted to do tonight, going back into doing these fun lists that I do. This is going to be a real one. I'm not going to be just talking shit. Of course, I do sometimes lace these little bits and pieces of commentary with some off-color and sometimes kind of nasty things. So I want everyone to take what I say with said grain of salt. And, this is all just fun here, folks. I'm just kind of doing a bit, you know what I mean? So, lighten the fuck up. Tonight, I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite solo albums. Not solo artists, not blah, blah, blah. You get it. I'm just talking solo albums. Particularly speaking of, artists that were, once involved in another project that was, of note, and then broke away and did some killer work, solo styles. And I highlighted 10 of my favorites. So that's what we're going to do. So sit back, get yourself a nice cold glass of whatever. And yeah, enjoy the list. Here we go. Number 10 on my list of favorite solo albums in my collection. This is going to be expected by a lot of you dudes and dudettes and whatevers that watch my videos. Know that I love progressive music. I love progressive rock. And I have brought this guy out a couple times and talked about him quite a bit. And nothing better than, honestly, I'm not a huge Porcupine Tree fan, but I sure as shit love Steven Wilson's solo career, which has turned into basically just the main part of his career. I mean, he still tours and does stuff with Porcupine Tree, right? But I mean, he's just spitting out fire. These fucking albums that he has put out. I don't think this was his first solo. This wasn't his Ingenue album. I believe that he had one prior to this, but this was, I think, 2013. The Raven That Refused to Sing. Amazing, tons of music, double LP, just really puts his heart and soul to wax on this one. And like I said, I've talked about it before. I don't need to get into the intricacies of what you're hearing because, like I said, it's really killer stadium style prog orchestral, wizardry. And this guy just kind of like encompasses all those wonderful pieces of, prog greats of the late 60s and 70s and just really kind of encapsulates all those wonderful things that we love dearly about those sounds and those ideas, and just kind of like puts them into just this awesome, like I said, kind of stadium rock. Maybe that's kind of an unfair term. That might seem like it's a negative connotation, but I don't think so. I mean, bands and musicians and artists that can play to that type of, crowd where it's like, it's fine-tuned, refined, sonically very tight, pleasing, the production, the engineering aspect of, the live stuff he does, as well as everything he does on his albums, because everyone knows that he's an engineering mastermind as well. So wow, this is really a mouthful. But number 10 on my list, because it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful album, The Raven That Refused to Sing by Steven Wilson, 2013, I believe, on K-Scope Records. Not going to pull everything out. Y'all just find a copy of it. It's getting a little bit hard to find on vinyl. So basically, you're not going to find it in your record stores. You're just going to have to go to Steven Wilson's website. I'm sure you can buy it there, but you're still going to pay $60 American dollars. I don't know what y'all will be paying in pounds and pence or euro or whatever the fuck. Get it. Well worth the money. Well worth the price tag. Number 9 on my list. This is more of kind of a recent introduction to me. I mean, not really. I've known of him, obviously, because he's a very famous guitar player for the band Genesis. I'm talking about Steve Hackett. But I always had Voyage of the Acolyte and love that, and have said it before. I believe that what Steve Hackett had to offer Genesis, was amazing, an amazing player altogether. But once he was done with Genesis, I'm not sure exactly when that happened. I believe it was right before or around the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, right, 1975. I think both he and Gabriel probably had just, ideas that they just really needed to express, solo flight, lone wolf style. I don't know the technical aspects of that breakup, but Steve Hackett went and did some pretty incredible shit, and I believe this was his third helping, which in my opinion is his best work. I've talked about Voyage of the Acolyte quite a bit. And what I was trying to allude to before I started yammering on was the just how he, I believe, was kind of the more like he's what made Genesis prog. And then when he went away and began doing his own things, it was, in my opinion, far proggier than Genesis really ever even was. Genesis was just really, in the beginning, it was just Peter Gabriel's project. It was his art piece. It was his theater performance, and that kind of stopped being in 1975. And Steve Hackett started doing his own thing, and you could finally sense kind of like a breath of fresh air, like a reaching out where he could really just get ultra creative with what he's capable of, and willing to offer the world. This was his finest work, in my opinion. His third, I think 1979, right? Spectral Mornings. This album is it's like a trip around the world. It's really cool. It's like you're in this spaceship balloon thing, and you're just kind of visiting every little place in the world via these songs. Opening track, very just kind of beautiful and surrealistic, really kind of just symphonic, what you kind of expect as an opening, kind of to somebody who's a prog mastermind. But then you go to all kinds of interesting different places. The Virgin and the Gypsy, it kind of takes you to other lands. The third track, The Red Flower, of Takai Blooms Everywhere, you know, then you get kind of like a Far Eastern kind of feel. You know what I'm saying? And then that gets into the Clocks segue song into the Angels of Mons, where it's just like, suddenly it's just like really heavy and even more of kind of like a hard rock feeling situation. Ending out the A side with just that funny little kind of like barroom parlor piano, the Ballad of the Decomposing Man, you know, and where that kind of goes. And you know what I mean? It's just, it feels like a Camel album, you know, where you're just kind of like hopping from like strange land to strange land. And, you know, it's really fantastic. And, you know, 1979, so it was getting quite a bit more advanced sounding, engineering, production wise. So you're getting a little bit more kind of, you know, you're getting some pop elements, you know, breaking into the new decade, breaking into that kind of that 80s sound. Lots of more kind of unique and advanced synthesizer sounds. You know, they were getting all kinds of new gear. And whoever was playing, there was just, you know, not dozens, but there was a lot of people playing on this album. I think he was doing a lot of stuff with his brother, wasn't he? Wasn't his brother on this album? John Hackett, yeah, played a lot of the Winds and interesting things. But a lot of these names, honestly, I don't recognize. I'm not from the era of the 70s and prog giants and stuff. I didn't live through the age, so I don't recognize any of those names. But I'm sure that they're involved in many other projects in history of rock and rock music and progressive rock. So yeah, number 9 on my list, Steve Hackett's, you know, Spectral Mornings. The final track is the namesake to the album, the title track, and it's just like, it's divine. It's absolutely blissful, you know, those haunting, soaring guitar melodies that he's playing around with. Such a beautiful album. Beautiful, beautiful album. Solo artists, man, these, not solo artists, but they're solo albums, and these magnificent artists, what they be. Again, another prog giant. It's just like predominantly what I love in my collection. A lot of progressive music, and of course this guy being the kind of like superhero of that, the little superhero of that genre. How wonderful is John Anderson and his breakaway solo extravaganza, Elias of Sunhillow. It's so cool. All this, you know, the beautiful artistic undertaking of this, and especially the presentation, you know, all that great shit that was going on, fantasy, you know, nerd culture kind of just like really, you know, entering the scene and kind of just becoming a part of everyday life. This reminds me a lot, the art style reminds me a lot of the movies that Jim Henson and Frank Oz were putting out, you know, the Labyrinth movie and Dark Crystal. I love this artwork, and I especially love the story. You know, they gotta build the fucking ship to fly away from a doomed planet, you know, and Elias is tasked with building the what's the name of that's the song. I can't remember the name of the machine that they fly away, but it's, you know, depicted on all of the Yes albums, and here it is, the little kind of fish ship or whatever. I'm not going to get all super crazy nerdy and just talk about this for a long time. It's really fun. It's really beautiful. It had to be on my list of greatest solo albums. I truly feel it is. So, a lot of fun. If anyone's not familiar with this, John Anderson, the lead singer of Yes and multi-instrumentalist, can play a dozen instruments, sings beautifully, very creative individual, very, you know, just, you know, kind of out there in a lot of ways, but hey, that was the 60s and 70s. Some would say a poetic genius. Others would laugh at that. But yeah, he's fucking awesome. And this, Yes decided to take a little bit of a break, a little bit of a chill session in 1976, wasn't it? They probably toured all the way up through the Relayer, the end of the Relayer tour and said, look, we all need to kind of like take a breather, do our own things. And this was John Anderson's like vacation away from Yes. And I think he did a lot in that year to 2 years, before Yes, reconvened and put out Going for the One. So, yeah, John Anderson's a creative motherfucker. This is testament to that. So yeah, everyone check out Elias of Sun Hillow, 1976. Yeah, they put it out on Atlantic. Atlantic was just given John Anderson carte blanche in 1975, 76. But yeah, it's a fun album. Really great. Next on the list, this would be number, 7? 10, 9, 8, number 7 on my list of favorite solo albums. Another dude that like I never really gave the time of day because I grew up in an era, 80s, 90s, where this guy was kind of becoming kind of a caricature of his former self, even though even his former self was a bit of a caricature within itself. So I just kind of grew up kind of thinking like I was definitely old enough to see when I saw him in the media in the late 90s and early 2000s where he had just become an absolute buffoon. And I could see through that. I wasn't too young to know that like he was a legend already at that point in time. So yes, I'm talking about the immortal Ozzy Osbourne and his breakaway solo album, 1980, I believe, right? Blizzard of Oz, when he was finally done being the frontman for Black Sabbath, for the legendary Black Sabbath. But this album really, like, it just takes me back to a great place in time. When I was like just discovering rock and roll, I was like 7th grade, 13 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, and like I got a job at a paintball facility for a summer, and I was like a referee, and I repaired and worked in the gun room, at a paintball facility one summer, and met all these really fucking cool old rocker guys, that were like, young adults, teenager and up. And this was their jam. This was what we were listening to. And they introduced me to this kind of stuff. And, I didn't know anything about Black Sabbath. I didn't know anything about Ozzy Osbourne, but, the hits on this one, obviously Crazy Train and, Mr. Crowley and all that. This whole album, this was just like the soundtrack to my summer in 1992. It was fucking awesome. This will just always have a big place in my heart. And, like what I mean, when I knew of Ozzy Osbourne, and then suddenly he's back in front of the cameras, and he's on a reality show, and he's a complete, they just turn him into a complete buffoon. And we all know that he really isn't that. He's not that ridiculous caricature of himself that you see. I don't know, maybe he is, but I don't know. There's more to the guy, obviously. I love the shit out of him. And especially this album, the guitar playing, Please Forgive Me, all you guys, is Randy Rhoads, right? Yeah, I mean, I know that there was numerous guitar players in Black Sabbath, but I think Randy Rhoads came with him from Black Sabbath, right? Oh man, all you classic metal guys and all you folks are going to be throwing fucking stones at me for this one, I know. But anyway, I think Randy Rhoads plays guitar on here, and fucking killer. It's just amazing, absolute songsmith. And he and Ozzy together, like, they really are heavy metal songsmiths. So love the shit out of this one. Had to be on my list. Number 7 on my favorite solo albums, Ozzy Osbourne and Blizzard of Oz. Number 6, taking it to a more hip, cool, fun place. This again is like the soundtrack to my 7th grade first romance. the first girl I ever danced with, or held her hand or whatever, when you're 12 years old. And this was the soundtrack to that. And I just love and respect the shit out of the guy himself and everything he's done in the world of rock and roll, as far as being a legend of progressive rock, a really fantastic fucking drummer. People don't realize, honestly, how great of a drummer he truly is until they listen to that middle portion of his career drumming for Genesis. And then his, you know, big breakaway hit. I think this was his first solo album, right after Genesis was done. But yeah, No Jacket Required, 1985. Yeah, Genesis was still, they made the, was it Abcab album, 84? One of those albums. But anyway, and this was like, okay, it's my band, it's me, it's all about me. And he, whatever, he deserves the limelight. He's fucking cool as shit. I think Phil Collins is cool as shit. A lot of people should talk a lot of shit about him, but I think No Jacket Required is fucking solid. It is real solid. Starting the album with Sussudio. I mean, give me a break. It's too good. I Don't Want to Know, One More Night, Don't Lose My Number. Yeah, Inside Out, Please Take Me Home. Yeah, Phil Collins is the fucking man. I love Phil Collins. Yeah, and everything he was doing, holy shit. Like, imagine singing in a band and then playing drums like what he was doing on the one that never, ever gets as much credit as it deserves. 1976's Wind and Wuthering by Genesis. That fucking album is super underrated. Everything he's doing on that album is just, it's incredible. Phil Collins is the fucking man. So yeah, that's number 6 on my list of my favorite solo albums. Number 5, again, prog legend. This one just, yeah, you can't deny this album and how incredibly ingenuitive and fantastic it is. Chris Squire, bass player for the band Yes, the longest standing original member to basically be in Yes the entire time of its entirety, I think, really. I mean, he formed the band in 1968, you know, John Anderson, and I don't think there was ever a period in time when Chris Squire wasn't the face of Yes. So anyway, extraordinary bass player, you know, lends his signature to the progressive world. He's just probably the biggest name, in my opinion, in the progressive world, and his contributions and his songwriting style, everything he did with, of course, Yes, but this being his album when Yes decided to take that little furlough in 1976. This was his cut, Fish Out of Water, and it's fucking badass, every bit about it. Everything about this album is magnificent. His pal Bill Bruford drums for him, the drummer, one of the drummers, one of the many drummers for Yes. I guess there wasn't that many drummers for Yes. There's only ever been Bill Bruford and Alan White, right? Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, Patrick Moraz, you know, keyboardist extraordinaire that also played with Yes in 1974 and 1975. But yeah, they're just laying it out like it's fucking super easy. Lucky Sevens is, it's probably the best song on this album. It's just incredible groove and 7/4 time, and yeah, I don't know. Hold Out Your Hand. I think that's the first track on the album, right? Yeah, Hold Out Your Hand. That's probably the most popular song on the album, but another fantastic song. Yeah, and then the final track on the album, Canon Song. You know, like, give me a break. Shit's just fucking incredible. Yeah. So anyone that's not aware of this album, rush out and get it. If you love progressive rock, if you especially love the band Yes, and everything that Chris Squire did for the world of rock and roll, you're gonna love the shit out of this album. It's pretty groovy cool. So check that one out, everybody. Number 4 on my list. Is that where we're at? 4, 3, 2, yes. Number 4. Yeah. This dude. I fucking love this dude. I don't know why. It just, you know, being born and raised in that era again, like 80s, you know, heavy metal culture. I was a little bit on the younger end of that. But like, you know, when I was 8, 9 years old, like both the kids across the street, you know, one kid had long hair and a skateboard, and I would hang out with him all day. And, you know, he listened to Megadeth and, you know, Metallica and Iron Maiden. And then the other guy across the street was a little bit older, and he was more into like, you know, Guns N' Roses and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and that stuff that was kind of really coming up early, you know, new in the 90s. And so I learned some at an early age, and I loved the shit out of all of it. And this was one of those artists. I just loved the artistry, the like the visual artistry, like the album covers and the t-shirts and everything he represented, just the, you know, his whole aesthetic and his everything. He's just magnificent. Ronnie James Dio's first solo album, Dio. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't get any cooler than this. Fucking holy diver. You can see his stripes, but you know he's clean. Amazing singer. Really, people just kind of write him off as being like just whatever, just kind of a classic metal singer. It's like, no, man. The he's got a killer set of pipes and everything he does. Yeah, holy diver. Like a rainbow in the dark. I mean, get the fuck out of town. Shame on the night. Oh man, he's so fucking cool. Everything about it, like I said, the entire aesthetic. This was just like every pick on the jukebox when we would like go to the pool hall, you know, late at night and smoke cigarettes, and when we were 14, 15 years old, and just like pick every fucking Dio song and Black Sabbath song on the jukebox or whatever. I guess he jumped ship from Black Sabbath like right around, must have been 81, 82, right? This was 83, wasn't it? Yeah, I think this was 1983. And he took one of the guys that were playing with Black Sabbath at the time, Vinny Appice, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Vinny Appice, played drums, right? He was the drummer for Black Sabbath at a period in time. Yeah, whatever. So this was the result. And he had another one after this, but I think that was really, he didn't do a lot of that solo stuff after this album. And the one after this, I can't remember what it's called, damn it. Anyway, equally as cool artwork, equally as badass in all ways, shapes, and forms. So yeah, everybody get the Holy Diver album by Dio. It's the sickest shit. It's great. That's my number 3 pick. Getting down to the top 2. Near and dear to my heart, from my hometown. We share a lot of friends in the same circle of friends here in Eugene, Oregon. Got to watch this dude like kind of like not start from nothing. Like my bands, numerous bands I've been in when I was younger. We would open for these guys all the time. They've gotten really fucking big, and it's been really fun to like be a part of their entire, like, not a part of it, but I mean just to watch it all happen. But yeah, and then after years of Yob, getting to hear his solo breakthrough album, Mikescheidt is his name, Mikescheidt. He's the lead singer, guitar player, songwriter for the band Yob, the doom, kind of spiritual doom metal, artsy doom metal out of here, Eugene, Oregon. This guy is fucking awesome and really fantastic because he plays a couple of Yob songs on here, all acoustic style. You really get to hear his vocals stretch and sing, and a lot of what he's doing is just either really low key, no distortion, you know, electric, cool stuff, or it's strictly just, you know, acoustic guitar work. Beautifully recorded. I'm not sure it wasn't recorded here in Eugene. There's a lot of big studios here in Eugene, but he recorded it with Thrill Jockey Records. So I'm not sure exactly where he recorded it, but a lot of stuff he's done here in Eugene for Yob it's been recorded here in Eugene. I mean, like probably Gung Ho Studios or something like that. But yeah, amazing artist, amazing guy. Really fun fucking listen if you like anything that's kind of it's not folky, but it's like, it's kind of dark folk. It's kind of dark folk mixed with some just kind of like, you know, I don't know. It kind of dances outside of genres in a lot of ways. But, you know, you can tell that he's probably a singer for a hard rock or heavy metal band. Just by kind of the entire vibe of the album. So highly recommended. Everyone pick out Mikescheidt's album. It's called Stay Awake. Stay Awake by Mikescheidt. He put that out in 2013. I want to say sometime in the early part of the second decade of the 2000s. Somewhere in the 2000 teens, the early 2000 teens, whatever the fuck that means. I can't find a date, but yeah. Love the shit out of him and this record. Okay, wrapping it up, everybody. That was number 3, sorry. 2 left. This was really fucking difficult. They had switched positions for the last few days. And I was like, no, I want that one at number 1. No, I want that one at number 1. Anyway, I want him and haw about this, but number 2 on the list is Robert Fripp's Exposure album. 1979. He was playing around with, let's see, King Crimson hadn't done anything for many years. Was he doing the League of Gentlemen before this at some point? I'm not sure. But yeah, everyone knows that Robert Fripp has just had his hands on a million fucking things, especially like in the late 70s, because King Crimson wasn't really doing anything. So he got to play around a lot, but this was, I believe, his first full-on, like just solo, totally solo. But he still just invites everyone else to come play on this album. I mean, fuck. Everyone. Daryl Hall and Peter Hamill and fuck, who else? I mean, Phil Collins drums on this album. Yeah, there's a lot of players on this album, but it's just magnificent. The Exposure track, that song is probably, you know, it's my favorite song on the album. I don't know, it's really fun because there's this like chunk of songs in the middle where Daryl Hall sings with him and everyone's playing, and a couple of them are kind of cheesy in my opinion, but I still kind of like them. That's Chicago song, but then the one after that, the New York song, that song is fucking amazing. It's so fucking cool. And Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates is singing on it, and he shreds, he kills. It's fucking great. All the guitar playing on this album is fucking incredible. There's a couple different guitar players, but I don't have the original inner. Damn. The copy I got doesn't have the original inner with the liner notes, so I can't. Well, I guess I could look it up on the fucking internet, couldn't I? But anyway, a lot of players on this album. Yeah, I love all the quirky, strange, interjective kind of like stuff, little, you know, snippets of, you know, strange talking, and I don't know. It's just really a very avant, cool fucking album, you know. Of course, yeah, guitar extraordinaire Robert Fripp. He plays most of the guitar on the album, but there's someone else that plays a bunch of guitar on the album too. Yeah, that's number 2 on my list. So, all right, gotta do a special mention. I know I do this to you guys every time, but this is important to me. Have to kind of do this quick little, like, you know, special mention where I wanted to feature one of this dude's solo albums. He had quite a few, but they just weren't up there for me as high as a lot of these. So it didn't make the top 10. But since the gentleman passed away a couple of years ago, and he's one of my very, very favorite artists of all time, I really wanted to talk about, or just, you know, just mention Chris Cornell and one of his many solo albums. What was it called? Higher Truth. The album's called Higher Truth. I think it was like his 3rd solo album, 2015. So it was just, I think he died in 2016, didn't he? Maybe it was 2017. But anyway, that album's really fucking fantastic. Euphoria Morning, I think that was his first solo after Soundgarden broke up in the late 90s. It was all right. It was, I didn't really, I like everything he did immediately thereafter in Audioslave a lot better. So I'm glad he joined that band. But yeah, after going through whatever hell he had to endure the last, 20 years of his life and career, after putting out Higher Truth, what a touching, magnificent album. And then his death was just kind of, it was a low blow for me. Amazing vocalist, amazing songwriter, rest his soul. So yeah, I wanted to bring up that album. And another unfortunate death in the world of rock and roll, of course. I have to bring this up. Everyone knows, it's been a couple weeks now, Mark Lanegan died. Famous, singer, songwriter, guitar player, started out in Screaming Trees, which, they were instrumental in the alternative rock and hard rock world of the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. He played with Queens of the Stone Age for a while. He did a lot of stuff. But we lost Mark Lanegan, very sad. And he also had quite a few really fucking amazing solo albums, which I didn't know about. So upon hearing of his death, I of course knew, like I said, the bulk of his career. Knowing and listening to a little bit of Screaming Trees, I wasn't really into Screaming Trees in the 90s. But everything he did with Joshua Homme and Queens of the Stone Age, fucking killer. I was well aware of that. But then after his death, researching about his solo stuff and listened to this whole album. It's fucking beautiful. It's called I'll Take Care of You. 1999, he released it. It's called I'll Take Care of You. All solo stuff by Mark Lanegan, but not original. It was all cover tunes. A lot of standard blues, some spiritual type, gospel type spiritual stuff and blues. Just like a really magnificent listen. Like I said, I just discovered it, so I haven't really gotten a chance to really get intimate with it. But in respect and solidarity for that dude, I'm gonna sit and listen to that because, like I said, upon first and second listening of that, I fell immediately in love with it. So cool guy. Sad to lose him. So rest in peace, brother, man. That's that. Honorable mentions. Moving along to my favorite solo album of all time. Yeah, duh. The illustrious Paul McCartney and his first foray after the Beatles were done. Just self-titled, McCartney, 1970, right? On the Apple label. Every single song on this album is fucking fantastic. I love all those funny little segue. Just, you can just envision him just like in his underwear and sitting down in a closet-sized studio in his house, and he's got his baby running around and his wife, and he's just like hits record, and he's just like putting out there what's just in his heart. And just a fucking, I don't need to talk about Paul McCartney, do I? Probably one of the greatest artists that has ever lived. So, yeah. What a magnificent album. Baby, I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time. Yeah. That's it. I don't need to talk about this album. Everybody knows what a magnificent treasure it is. So, love the shit out of Paul McCartney. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me. That was fun. Like I said, I had to put a lot of thought into that one. It took me a while to really get into it. So yeah, like I said in the beginning part of the video, scroll down in my videos and check out a video that I did like a couple days ago about my contest. Enter my contest. Tell me about your Desert Island 4. Yeah, love you fuckers. Thanks again for coming around and talking my favorite solo albums with me tonight. So, be good to each other, and peace be with you.